Nebraska, 7.5. Over juiced at minus 122. So you get pretty decent value there. Cincinnati, neutral site. Michigan, Iowa, USC, all at home. At Penn State, at Minnesota are really your only two tough road games. Your returning production, according to Bill Conley's SP Plus, you're like 89th in offense. And I think you're 12th in defense. So we know the defense is still going to be really good, even after losing Tony White and a lot of those guys that kind of went with him. You go in the portal, you get a couple of big time receivers like Key from Kentucky, things like that. I don't know. It's just, it'll always be based on quarterback play. Like, let's just be simple. We don't have to know much about the game, but it's a pretty simple game. Like, how much of a jump can Dylan Raiola take from year 1 to year 2? Because I thought he really struggled in the middle of October. But if we get like September Dylan Raiola, yeah, I think 8 wins is very much on the table.
You get the Dylan Raiola that played bad football teams, you're good.
If you get Dylan Raiola as a prospect, if you get Dylan Raiola's potential, and that's what worries me. I have some serious concerns about Raiola. I really like Ruhle and the defense and the culture that he's trying to put in there, and I'm not so sure Raiola fits that culture and what he's trying to do and the vision that he's trying to sell, and seeing him struggle there towards the end of the year, which granted he's a freshman, so that's going to happen. So you hope that he learns and goes into this year, but laying 8 wins in a pretty tough Big Ten is a lot to ask. It's a lot of blind faith.
Yeah, and you also, not just offensive side, but like you lost a lot on that defensive line. And I understand you brought in a pass rusher or two that are going to help, but that interior defensive line was no joke last year. It was hard for anybody to run the football on them, and we're just going to replace that. It feels like it's tougher than it's made out to be.
Have you seen their offensive line though? It could be again, very high ceiling, low floor. They brought in that kid from Notre Dame that started at guard for them all last year, and they brought in Pritchett from Alabama. I was like, okay, we're really paying up here. I thought GA's comments were pretty excellent. Like, I completely agree. As somebody who doesn't have any, horse in this race for Nebraska, 8 wins, anything less than 8 wins is definitely underperforming. I'd even say 9 wins. If you're taking out the over-under win total and you're just looking at the schedule, like 9 wins should be there for Nebraska if this team plays up to the talent that I think it might have. And I'm glad he reminded me. I forgot you brought in Holgerson. Now you have a full fall camp with Holgerson calling plays.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully he can develop your quarterback like he's supposed to. I think it is. I hate to give him credit, but I really do think they are a fascinating story to follow for college football this year, because I think they do have a high floor and a pretty low high ceiling, low floor. Jordan, you kind of rolled your eyes.
No. I think one of my neighbors was like nailed something to the wall. It was just like, what's going on.
He was pissed. She's pissed. I'm giving Nebraska credit. I think
the Nebraska thing's hard for me to not look like I'm just pissed off and like screaming at clouds at all times.
Be unbiased here for about 2 seconds. Like, we need a real opinion.
I don't know what to think of them. Like, I feel like we've just consistently talked about how this team's going to improve and they're getting better in spots, and now they're going to win games because of the schedule. And I just don't know if Nebraska is going to stop Nebraska. They did it last year, second year under Ruhle. Yep. They still found ways to do it. Mm-hmm. Like, the game is weird. It's a bounce the ball in some spots, but it's also learning how to win. And maybe it is year 3 with completely different guys. But if you're relying on the portal, you're working pretty darn hard, right, to get these kids into the culture of winning this way and how to win in games in certain situations, which Nebraska's become notorious at not being very good at.
It's over-unders like 7.5 with Nebraska, where Vegas makes their money, because, I mean, we could be going back and forth on this all day, because I don't think 7-5 would be a disappointing season for Nebraska. And if they overachieve, they could be a really good – they could be a – yeah, they'd be disappointed, but that doesn't mean they're going to be a bad football team. And if they go 8-4, like, they could be a really good 8-4 team, but lose 4 close games, or like have a really good defense, but not have the top end offense to be in the upper echelon of the Big Ten. Like, that's not a bad thing.
I think Jordan made a great point with like, you got to learn how to win football games. And last year's Iowa game was about as inexcusable as it gets for some of their one score losses that they've had. And it's kind of funny, right? They already crossed the bowl eligibility. They got that, monkey off their back before that game.
Yeah, and I don't think that's anything to just blink at. I think that's huge for them.
Yeah. And then they go out, they get the monkey off their back, and then they still play like they had, that demon behind them with the close games in the Iowa game. I thought it was interesting. I don't know, something to keep an eye on. That's good stuff.